All right, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go to Mike and Renee and Chris and Corey and Steve and then everybody else that calls in. I'm going to take a ton of calls up to the bottom of the next hour when we have a medical doctor joining us to give you the facts on the dangers of cell phone radiation. And let me tell you, I know we all know there's a danger, and the studies show that going back 20 years or more, but all of us tend to not use hands-free, not use a wire. My friends, my family that know this keep doing it. We've all got to get a handle on frequency pollution and cause a national debate about it and get out of the habit of just holding a cell phone up to our head and radiating ourselves. I use landlines for 90+% of my communications. I use cell phones when I'm on the road, got to pick my kids up from school, got to pick somebody up at the airport. They're very useful. But people that are giving them to their kids, I see little kids, I go to the mall just with them glued to their heads, and they are cooking their brains. It is a fact. So we're going to discuss that coming up in 1 hour. Briefly, 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night, I take a shot of Super Male Vitality. That's a whole bunch of different key herbs and extracts, organic, concentrated, cold pressed. And I mix in other things like Fluoride Shield. That's a chelator. Doesn't just cut out the fluoride. The Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine X2. And I mix it up in a glass of water 3 times a day, and I take it, and it has been life-changing for me. You've heard the rave reviews by listeners. You've heard what folks have said it's done for their vitality, done in their relationships, you name it. We now have a female formula out that just has 2 other ingredients in it as well that really supercharge women. Whether it's exercise, health, you name it, try a bottle of Super Female Vitality. Try a bottle of Super Male Vitality. Try a bottle of X2 Nascent Iodine, a type that no one else has. Very palatable, very easy to get down compared to others from a pure crystal deep earth source, the actual iodine crystals. We're really proud of the products we've deployed out there against the globalist. It has helped us fund our operation as well. We have developed and deployed a whole bunch of just super high quality products, more AccuPower, the strongest eye formula that we know of out there, of patented ingredients that are known and have been proven to help eyesight, not just your eyes, but other nerves as well. The Oxy powder that is just so amazing at flushing out your guts. It's all available at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. You can also go to InfoWarsStore.com and find the products. You can find the Made in America T-shirts, the new Molon Labe shirt. We have a second design out now that is now the new bestseller. We call it the 50 cal 1776. We've got the new Molon Labe ball caps and beanies because the winter is coming. And all of your purchases fund this operation. Now, we could sell you these caps and shirts for $10 if they were made in China. We could buy them for $2 a piece. We get them made in America, so they cost us $10 to $14 just because of the regulations and taxes. And the companies we're buying these from can barely operate at those prices. We have golf shirts that would be $80 to $100 at Dillard's or Nordstrom's. Made in America brand, branded to made in 1776 for half the price they would be at Nordstrom's. Beautiful golf shirts. Folks just love them. And people will ask, what does made in 1776 mean? So we have kind of the low-key shirts that aren't really aggressive, right up to stuff with Spartan war helmets saying Molon Labe, come and take it, Infowars.com. And we sold out of all the belt buckles, but we didn't print 250 of them. Well, they're not printed. They're forged, brass, and nickel-plated if you want it. But those are sold out. 250 did just come in. They'll sell out very quickly. And then that's it because we only print 1,000 of them total. 500 of the brass and then 500 of the brass with the nickel. They couldn't produce as many as we needed, so one shipment was late. So those have come in. They will sell out very, very quickly at madein1776.com. And I run a big operation now with over 50 crew, news division, nightly news, documentary films, breaking news, syndicated radio, 3 major news websites, a TV site. All of it is funded by you supporting us in the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your support. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or subscribe to the Nightly News at PrisonPlanet.tv. Now I'm going to go to your phone calls for the balance of the hour right into the next hour. I also want to remind you, if you're listening to us on an AM or FM station, tell everyone you know to listen every time you see them. Hand out cards, become a sponsor, thank the local sponsor, thank the station. That's how we've gone from being on about 100 radio stations to over 170 now and growing. Because you're always having stations that sell or change format. I can't tell you how many stations we've been on over the years and get really good ratings for them and move from the weekends to the weeknight to the weekdays, and then they get bought out and turn into ESPN. We've probably, let's not exaggerate, there's been more than 100 affiliates over the years that have gone ESPN. And hey, great, ESPN. It's fun to listen to all the sports scores. The country is going to hell in a handbasket. We need to warn people. That's another reason I get so mad at football, because I played football. I get liking football. But the country is going to hell in a handbasket, and it's so frustrating to get #1 ratings in a place like Orlando. And we're back on in Orlando now, but that's good. #1 was in the newspaper. Up against Rush Limbaugh, everybody. #1, that's happened over and over again. And then they just come in and go, we can give you more money, go to ESPN. It's just, I want to throw up. See, it isn't just about getting the ratings, folks. People have to support it. And we've been successful as a small independent radio show. There are no other independent radio shows that are syndicated like this. We literally, by the grace of God, are here. And that's why I'm so thankful to everybody who's supported us to spread the word. So become a sponsor, promote those stations, and let them know you're supporting the show as well. And then we can turn this country around. You've got to vote with your dollars. You got to vote with your feet. You got to vote with your actions. NPR doesn't need that. They just get taxpayer money and then still beg for money locally from the slobs that give them cash. We don't do that. We sell high-quality products. And then they have national media go, how dare Alex Jones sell videos and books and T-shirts? That's right. It'd be much more moral if I just got taxpayer money, right? And then promoted anti-Second Amendment. Oh, my gosh, the Liberty Movement's funding itself. When those secret Bill Clinton documents came out 4 months ago from his presidential library, they released them via a FOIA suit. When that stuff came out, it was in 1994. If we let independent media with Joseph Farah and the Western Journalism Center start, other people will start new media, and then we won't control the paradigm through the controlled press and state-run media. We've got to shut them down. And the worst part about Western Journalism Center is they're selling subscriptions to news and are funding themselves and don't need the big corporations or tax money. Why, if this ever becomes popular, that's it for us. I mean, it is such a dirty, 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 dirty. CNN reported on it. Previously secret Clinton White House documents released. And it says we have to meet with the mainstream media and tell them to call anyone conspiracy theorist. That's why we come out a month and a half ago and go, Ebola appears to be becoming more and more airborne. Here's a government report. And also, they say it could spread to millions. Oh, my gosh, you're a fearmonger. Oh, this is so horrible. Blah, 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 blah. Month and a half later, it's mainstream news. You could say that the sun comes up in the morning, and if you're not establishment, they're going to attack you because you're seen as competition. And I expect that from purely state-run media. But I'll tell you one thing. To see major libertarian, conservative, constitutional media infighting and sneaking around doing attack pieces on each other, man, we're going to lose everything if we don't come together. If you don't have that basic instinct that if you are for the Second Amendment and private property rights and the family and basic judicial justice and having a country, then you had better come together for liberty. All right, that's enough. I'm going to your calls. Mike and then Renee and others. Mike in Missouri, thanks for holding. You're on the air. Go ahead.
And there's something going on, but you do know what it is, don't you, Mr. Jones? To quote Bob Dylan. There was an article up on Prison Planet yesterday. I think it's off now. I wanted to ask you about the possible tactical nuke in Kiev.
Well, yeah, I don't think the story is off. What happens is it scrolls off the front page into the archives. In fact, when you guys pull that out of the Sunday stack, I covered it yesterday. A giant munitions plant got blown up in eastern Ukraine, and clearly Russian forces or allied forces fired 3 missiles into it. The separatist forces admitted they basically did it, blowing it up, and it did create a huge mushroom cloud, kind of like when the town of West in central Texas blew up in Waco, outside Waco. People thought it was a nuke. But the Russians just say that's ridiculous, and obviously there would have been not just seismic, but also radiological stuff being picked up to show it was a nuke. I mean, if you look at it, it doesn't look like a nuke. It looks like a slow explosion that you would see from a munitions plant. But what's your take on that?
Nobody's picked up any other evidence of, like you say, radiological or seismic or anything that they've announced anyway. Huh?
We've looked into it and can't find anything, but I've watched the video of the explosion. We just played it, and it looks like a fertilizer plant blowing up. I mean, that's what they do. And it did put up a mushroom cloud, but any big explosion will put off a mushroom cloud. I don't know, but I'm very unlikely the Russians would use a tactical nuclear weapon on an ammo dump when all you got to do at a munitions plant is fire missiles into it, and you saw what happened.
Yes, sir. First-time caller. I appreciate you taking my call. I've been listening for a while, and I'm spreading the word around Midwest as much as I can.
Well, Mike, thank you so much. Just to add one more point. I don't give a lot of speeches. I gave one for the Stansbury group because it was in Texas, and I could not be away from my kids I took my kids with me up there. And then I spoke for Casey Research, another great group, down in San Antonio to a capacity crowd of high-powered folks. And these people were all so smart, so classy, so cool, and then thanking me that I just felt bad. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm not a narcissist. I come off as one sometimes because I'm so aggressive and confident. But I'm always talking about myself, so you know where I'm at. I'm very humble. And it is very humbling to see how many amazing people there are out there. And all I told that crowd was, you better get active, not just at conferences to get more intel so you're personally successful. You better get involved in information warfare, and most of them have, using the truth against lies, or we're going to lose everything. There's a National Review article out today showing, again, in statistics, upwards of 90% of the illegals vote for socialism and gun control. And conservatives will be like a vestigial claw on a dog's forearm, on a dog's elbow. I mean, it's as useful as what's on a boar. And I've never called myself even really a conservative. I'm a libertarian constitutionalist, classical liberal, like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson. In fact, there's the headline, The Liberal Newcomers. And the subheadline, Limit Immigration or Watch Conservative Efforts Become Irrelevant. Yeah, I mean, you've got people with no education who've lived in cardboard boxes getting here from Africa and Central and South America and other areas, and they don't care, folks. The facts are in. They are going to vote for whatever the most hardcore Democratic Party people say, and that's why the Republican leaders are all on board with it, because they're all getting their paycheck from the same big banks. They're all going to retire to an armored country club. They don't care. And I'm not against these poor immigrants, but look, I am against the fact that they are useful idiots, and they're going to take my guns and take my property and force inoculate me. They're going to become the bureaucrats and the enforcers. And as bad as America is, it's not Guatemala. And we're going to be like that now, and it's very sad. Renee in South Carolina, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Oh, thanks so much for taking my call, Alex. I wanted to be the voice of the tens of thousands of children that are being raped, tortured, and killed by the so-called global elite. And we need to get Kevin Annett back on, because he's doing just incredible work with the international courts in Brussels.
Sure. You're talking about at orphanages in Ireland, Canada, you name it. They dig up just hundreds, in some cases thousands of dead children Native Americans, Irish children, you name it. And yeah, there is a real cult in government going back thousands of years that likes to prey on children. Most psychopaths aren't just rogue psychos operating on their own and getting caught. They organize into guilds so that they can take their time with the children.
Yeah, and if you read some of the witness testimony, this isn't ancient stuff. This is stuff that's going on. You know, I think the last one that was mentioned was in 2010, and they have hunting parties where they let these children run for their lives and have dogs chase them.
Yep. Well, let me just be clear. I wasn't saying this only happened thousands of years ago. I was saying that every ancient culture, when it declined, sacrificed and tortured children. Whether it was the Aztecs, whether it was the Babylonians, whether it was the Druids, whether it was the different Mediterranean civilizations, this is what ends up happening. And it's part of the decline. You better know that if they're promoting the end of the family and they're promoting, you know, and pushing homosexuality and everything on the surface, and I'm not even attacking, you know, people out there. It's not my ball of wax. What I'm saying is, historically, we know as historians, and even Camille Paglia has written about that, and she's a lesbian, that when you get to this stuff on the surface, down below, it means the other stuff's going on. And yes, ma'am, DynCorp got caught in 2005 running giant child roundup rings. It was even in the Chicago Tribune. It was even in major papers. They had congressional testimony, and no one got in trouble. And the reason they didn't was because it's connected to the government. And that's how they blackmail the judges. That's how they took over Penn State. It's how they took over Boys Town. I remember having a former CIA guy on who was also a senator, state senator, John DeCamp, and actually hitting the delay button on him 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when he was saying Penn State's a pedophile ring and Boys Town's a pedophile ring. This is before it came out. Understand, folks, this is before it was in the news. So I hear you, ma'am. God bless you. It is just absolutely hellish what's going on. And the children out there are not getting any relief because people are in denial. Yeah, there it is. Salon reporting on slave trade whistleblowers vindicated. DynCorp. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I got death threats, by the way, the last time I was really hammering on that story. Real ones. Coming up for the radio audience and TV audience as well, I'm going to play some of the audio shot inside the man's car with the open window of an unconstitutional, illegal, federally funded, state-instituted checkpoint on the highway. And when the man begins to talk about the Constitution, the whacked-out officer rips open the car door and yells like a drill sergeant. Now, that's important because the Associated Press is reporting, quote, snipers, guards, fences, not enough, Secret Service moles, security checkpoints outside the White House on the road. This has been the plan all along. So our border's wide open, but illegal checkpoints to then stop people and demand information from them are okay. And they have private companies in all 50 states hiring cops to make people fill out surveys. And it turns out that's federally funded to just set the precedent that we're North Korea. So we're going to break that down coming up. Some of the other news. Obama's UN ambassador admits fight against ISIS designed to take out Assad in Syria. An amazing video of Samantha Powers being interviewed. That's on Infowars.com. Also, feds swarm a plane, interrogate passengers over travel group logo that resembles ISIS. And now Congress has voted for more war in the Middle East. A Ron Paul article. The Petro Yan cometh. China docks a Navy destroyer in Iran's Strait of Hormuz port. Things are certainly accelerating on that front. But right now, let's go back to your phone calls. Corey in Connecticut, thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
Pretty good, brother.
I just want to talk to you about what's going on in high schools now. I got thrown out of school again, second time within a month for wearing a shirt had a gun on it, and it was just a Johnny Cash "Don't take your guns to town" shirt. And the first time it happened, it was an AR-15 "Come and take it" shirt, and I had a Constitution on me. I read the First Amendment to her, and she just kind of dismissed it like it didn't happen. And I talked to a school resource officer, and he told me that the Constitution, he said I should enjoy now because it's really not going to be around much longer.
Well, children are getting kicked out of school for bringing a bubble gun that shoots bubbles. And kids are getting in trouble if they eat a pastry, a Pop-Tart, and it looks like a gun. So soon, I guess if a cloud looks like a gun, they'll have to arrest you. This is all just part of the totalitarianism that they just call regulations. But it's beyond North Korea. But America's a free country, so it can't be happening here. No, it is happening here. And you should document that. You should do a news article about it. But you know, we see 10-year-olds being suspended for making fingers into the shape of a gun. This is all part of the social engineering. But, oh, the kids can go home and play all the murder simulation video games, priming them for drone pilots that they want to. It's all selective. And that's a key part to any totalitarian system. But I also love people that say, oh, the Constitution, I don't want to hear about that in my courtroom. Or, yeah, that won't be around long, buddy. As if they're looking forward to it being gone, as if they're looking forward to having no checks and balances and being slaves. Anything else, Corey? Well, what's your school district in Connecticut? Well, I would write an article about it. I'd do a YouTube video about it. That's newsworthy. When this stuff goes on, speak out about it. That's the thing to do. Third hour, your phone calls. The illegal checkpoint in Illinois with the police flipping out. Really, really sad. They want to live in North Korea, I'm telling you. Okay, let's go through your phone calls as quickly as possible here, ahead of a bunch of other key news I'm going to get to, including the national rollout of checkpoints across the country, led by the Secret Service. And if we're looking for one guy in a county, let's have checkpoints everywhere. Let's shut down half of Boston looking for one teenage kid who's a patsy. Never acted like that before. Why are we doing this now? It's part of the RAND Corporation's National Stabilization Force that's really here to implement martial law and get the public acclimated to it. Let's go to Chris in New Hampshire. Thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
Hi, Alex. First time, long time. I just want to say you're looking great, bud, with the healthy living you're doing right now.
Well, thank you. I still look like hell, but I look like something even worse.
Well, I won't say that, but as long as you feel better, man, that's all that matters.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm a touring musician. I've been traveling around the country 6 months a year for a pretty long time. So I've been through the checkpoints, and I've seen the destabilization of our country firsthand. And it's easy to kind of put it down on the border when you live up in New Hampshire like I do. But now I come home, and I just wanted to run this by you real quick, and I won't take up too much of your time. But there's a guy up here in New Hampshire named Bill Binney, and it's not the good Bill Binney. I'll call him the bad Bill Binney. He ran for 2010 U.S. Senate, and now he is the finance chairman of the committee. And he's starting a news network, which is going to cover the primaries here. So I just want to tell the first-time listeners or people that are still new, if you're skeptic about, something Alex is saying, just look it up in your own neighborhood or your own community, and you'll see it firsthand. And, it's pretty staggering when you realize, like, these people live right down the street from you, and they're members of the Carlisle group and, have strong ties to George Bush right in New Hampshire, man. So just want to let everybody know, do some research on your own, and you might come to your own conclusions, but they'll probably match Alex's and InfoWars pretty closely.
Well, thank you, brother. Interesting points. So often, the public doesn't understand that the technocrats running our planet, to a great extent, have unlimited fiat money, and they just give huge portions to it out to their different minion organizations, but it doesn't matter. Even though they have funding, they don't have audiences. I don't know of who you speak, so I can't agree or disagree with you. I'm ignorant of that local factoid. But that's why it's essential that good people get involved, because there are more of us than them, and people will resonate with us, and we can turn the criminal tide. My friends, Alex Jones here to tell you about some of the most important information concerning you and your family's health. Radiation levels have more than doubled in the last 60 years in the Northern Hemisphere from all of the nuclear testing and radiological accidents. Radioactive contamination is now in most of the food supply. There's only 2 ways to avoid this. Move south of the equator or properly protect your thyroid with Nascent Iodine. Looking to protect my family, I've done deep research. Nascent Iodine is the purest, cleanest, absolute best form of iodine to protect yourself and your family. It's made right here in the USA, completely non-GMO. I searched out the best quality and now have developed a double-strength form of Nascent Iodine, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Nascent Iodine is on record as one of the only safe ways to detox from fluoride poisoning. Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. Secure your super high-quality Nascent Iodine today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.